Hello guys, welcome to our class. Today, we are going to learn about epidemiology. First, we need to know what is the definition of epidemiology. The term epidemiology is derived from the Greek word epi, which means on or upon, demos, which means the common people, and logi means study. And by putting all of this together, it means the study of that which fall upon the common people. So next, we move to the definition. Epidemiology, the study of the distribution and determinants of health-related states and events in specific population, by John M. Last, 1988. So from this definition, we have 5 keywords. The first one is population, second, disease frequency, third, disease distribution, fourth, disease determinants, and the last one, disease control. So we will move one by one. Population. Population refers to a group of people with a common characteristic such as place, residence, gender, age, or use of certain medical services. Second, disease frequency. Disease frequency refers to quantifying how often the disease arises in a population. Disease distribution. Disease distribution refers to the analysis of disease pattern according to the characteristic of person, place, and time. Disease determinant. Disease determinant are factors that bring about a change in a person's health or make a difference in person's health. And the last one, disease control. Epidemiologists accomplish disease control through epidemiologic research. Okay, we will move to the aims and objectives. We have 5 aims and objectives. The first one is to study the natural cause of the disease from onset to resolution. Second, to determine the extent of the disease in a population. Third, to identify patterns and trends in disease occurrence. Fourth, to identify the causes of the disease. And the last one, to evaluate the effectiveness of measures that prevent and treat disease. Okay, from all these aims and objectives, we have ultimate aims. First is to eliminate or reduce the health problem of community. And the second one, to promote the health and well-being of society as a whole. Okay, in epidemiology, we have principles. The first one, exact observation, strict and accurate. Second one, correct interpretation, free from error. Third one, rational explanation. It must be sensible and reasonable. And the last one, scientific construction. Must be done by expert knowledge and technical skills. So, what is the relationship of epidemiology and public health? First, is to prevent disease and promoting health. Second, is for community health assessment or community diagnosis and priority setting. Third, improving diagnosis, treatment, and prognosis of clinical assessment. Fourth, evaluating health intervention and program. We need to know what is the function about what we are studying. Okay, now we will move to the core epidemiologic function. The first one, public health surveillance. Portray the ongoing pattern of disease occurrence and disease potential so that investigation, control, and prevention measures can be applied efficiently and effectively, and sometimes called information for action. So we gather all the information first. Then, field investigation, requiring the coordinated effort of dozens of people to characterize the extent of an epidemic and to identify its causes. Third, analytic studies, providing clues or hypotheses about causes and mode of transmission, and analytic studies evaluating the credibility of these hypotheses. The process of determining as systemic and objectively as possible the relevance, effectiveness, efficiency, and impact of activities with respect to established goals. So, we are going to talk about core of epidemiological function. First one, public health surveillance, is to portray the ongoing pattern of disease occurrence and disease potential so that investigation, control, prevention measures can be applied efficiently and effectively, sometimes called information for action. Second one, field investigation, requiring the coordinated effort of dozens of people to characterize the extent of an epidemic and to identify its cause. Third one, analytic study, providing clues or hypotheses about the causes and mode of transmission, and analytic studies evaluating the credibility of those hypotheses. Fourth one, evaluation, the process of determining as systemic and objectively as possible the relevance, the effectiveness, and impact of activities with respect to established goals. Fifth, linkage, to promote the current and future collaboration. The epidemiologists need to maintain relationship with staff and the other agencies and institutions. And the last one, policy development. The epidemiologists working in public health regularly provide input, testimony, and recommendation regarding disease control strategies and reportable disease regulation and healthcare policy.
First, I'm going to talk about measures of the disease occurrence. There are three measures of the disease occurrence: ratio, proportion, and rate. Let's talk about ratio first. Ratio, that basically means the division of two unrelated numbers. What does it mean? Let me give you an example. For example, fifth year dental students with a population of 20 people, they have 10 male and 10 female. So the ratio of male to female is 1:1. And notice that male and female is not related. Okay, second example. In IUC 6 batch dental students, there are 50 students, which there are 30 female and 20 male. So the ratio of female to male is 3:2. Okay, next we go to proportion. Proportion is the division of two related numbers. Numerator is always the subset of the denominator. They are often expressed as percentage or range from 0 to 1 or 0% to 100%. Let me give an example. The number of Indian students in IUC dental faculty is 58 students out of 250 students. So the population of Indian students in IUC dental faculty is 23.2% or 0.232. Let's talk about rate. Rate basically means the division of two numbers, but time is always the denominator. Basically, it describes the number of events happening divided by length of time over which they happen. Let me give you an example. Over 5 out of 1,000 people in Kelana Jaya got oral cancer in a span of 1 year. So what is the rate? So it's 5 out of 1,000 people per year. Okay, that's it. Now we move on to absolute risk. Absolute risk are basically the odds of that happening over a certain time period. And for example of that, if you are not wearing mask, then there's a 70% chance of you getting COVID-19. Next, I'll be talking about the disease frequency. There are two types of disease frequency: incidence and prevalence. Let's talk about incidence first. Incidence is defined as the occurrence of a new disease that developed in a certain population over a period of time. In there is also two types of incidence: cumulative incidence and incidence rate. Okay, let's talk about cumulative incidence first. Cumulative incidence is defined as the proportion of the candidate population that becomes disease over a specified population. The formula is right here. I'll give you an example for cumulative incidence. The researchers has undergone a study to find a cumulative incidence of Lincoln students with a population of 1,000 people of getting obesity over a 3-year period. At the end of the study, 200 of them have gotten obese. Calculate the the cumulative incidence. Okay, so we apply the formula cumulative incidence equals to number of new cases over a target population over a period of time. Okay, so for the number of new cases is 200 new cases over 1,000 people over 3 years. So in total is 0.2 or 20% of the target population has become obese over the period of 3 years. Okay, once you got that out of hand, let's talk about incidence rate. It is defined as the occurrence of the new cases of disease that arise during a person time of the observation. You can see this is the formula right here. Okay, now I'll give you an example for the incidence rate. Okay, researchers have undergone a study to find out incidence of fish-back dentistry students with a population of 10 people of getting depression over the span of 5 years. In the middle of the study, person A have gotten too depressed and have to drop out from the course at the end of their 3rd year. Persons B and C have to drop out at the end of 4th year for no specific reason, while person D have joined in the end of 3rd year and have gotten depression in his 4th year. Person E have gotten depression in his 4th year, and F and G have got depression in their 5th year. So calculate the incidence rate. For you, easy to imagine, I've drawn a graph right here. Okay, so you have to calculate how much time that one participant has contributed to the study. Okay, person A dropped out of 3rd year, so we give 3 years. Person A have contributed 3 years. Person B and C has contributed 4th year, okay, 4 years, so total two of them contributed 8 years, while person D had joined in their 3rd year and got depression in their 4th year, so he contributed 3rd year and 4th year 2 years. Okay, while person F and G had got depression in their 5th year, so 5 years, while person E had got depression in their 4th year. So we add 4th year inside the equation, so we add it all up under the denominator, and the numerator we put 4 people, so 4 people have got depression, so we put 4 people there. We divide the number and we got the answer. Now let's talk about prevalence. It's basically defined as the proportion of a total population that is diseased. There are two: point prevalence and period prevalence. Okay, what is point prevalence? Point prevalence refers to the prevalence measured at a particular point in time. It is the proportion of person with a particular disease or attribute on a particular date, on that date only. So not a period of date, that date only. And while period prevalence refers to prevalence measured in an interval of time, so there is there's a period there. Okay, I'm going to give you an example of period prevalence and point prevalence. The number of COVID-19 cases in Malaysia from 25th January 2020, where the first case was diagnosed, until 31st May is 572,357. So the period prevalence of COVID-19 from 25th January 2020 to 31st May is 572,357 people. While you want to pinpoint the point of prevalence, the point of prevalence of COVID-19 of 20th May 2021 is 492,302. That means we pick the 20th of May. Is 592,302 people infected with the COVID-19. Now I'll pass on to my partner, Shahidi.
So next, we have a lot of indices in dentistry, such as CPITN, ICIDAS, and DMF. What is index? Index is graduated scale having upper and lower limit. This scores show specific criteria for specific scores. The objective of index is to conduct research, to evaluate patients, as well as to evaluate community health. First, we will talk about the MF index. What is the MF index? The MF stands for D, decay, M, missing, and F, filling. It was developed in 1938 and it was used over 70 years. So for this index, we will measure and see whether the tooth is decayed, got filling, or missing. This DMF has strength and limitation. So for the strength, it is simple to use, recognized by many countries, and it has long record. For the limitation, the MF cannot assess the root caries
it also cannot assess the severity of the disease. Those are the limitations of the MF index. Next, ICDAS. What is ICDAS? ICDAS is International Caries Detection and Assessment System. It was developed in 2001, but then modified in 2009. The objective of ICDAS is to conduct for better prognosis, better diagnosis, better management of dental caries. ICDAS using 2-digit codes, which we can simplify into X and Y. What are those? Code X, it is to classify or to assess whether the tooth is sound or got facial sealant or got any restoration, even broken restoration. Code Y, it is to assess the caries status. For example, 0. 0 is for sound tooth, meaning no caries. For another example, 1. 1 is for a lesion. Another example is 5. 5 is if there is big cavity but not more than 50% of the tooth. So ICDAS also has strength and limitation. For strength, it is easy to use in clinic. It is designated for 6 stages of caries lesion. It also suitable for the clinical trial of caries control agent. For limitation, it is difficult to read. It also can lead to the overestimation of the seriousness of the lesion. The result also difficult to compare in community, not like the MF. Last but not least, we have CPITN. What is CPITN? CPITN is a Community Periodontal Index of Treatment Need, meaning we will assess what is the treatment need by the community who's having the periodontal problem. It was developed in 1982. It was developed primarily to assess the treatment need of periodontal problem in community. For procedure, we will use WHO probe, which has a ball-ended to assess the periodontal problem. We will assess by sextants, which is sextant 1, 2, and 3. For each arch, we have 3 sextants. Right sextant from tooth number 17 or 18 to 14. Sextant number 2, 13 to 23, and sextant number 3 from 24 until 28 or 27. For lower, it follows the same. This index has strength and also limitation. The strength is easy to use. It also can be used in clinic as screening. For limitation, CPITN only can assess whether the patient need the treatment or not, but not assess whether the disease can be treated or not. So that's all from us. Thank you.